Welcome back. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Your hosts, Derek and Cody, with you as always. Guys, we're going to go ahead and talk here today about a training camp battle. We had talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago, or might have even been just over a week ago at this point. But we were talking about a training camp battle in the wide receiver group, and that was between wide receiver Alec Pierce and newly drafted wide receiver Adonai Mitchell. Some good stuff coming out of camp so far from both players, but we're going to talk about some of this matchup right now. Cody, we've been seeing a lot of clips. We've been seeing a lot of things from the reporters that are at the practices going over all of these matchups. And while I know that Adonai Mitchell's name has probably been mentioned quite a bit more because there's been a lot of hype and there's a lot of question marks about Adonai Mitchell, from a standpoint of who's been getting the reps, it sounds like so far it's been about 50-50. There's been times when Adonai Mitchell is running with the ones in 11s on 11s. And then there's other times when Alec Pierce has been getting those ones. And then for 7-on-7 work, it's been the same exact thing. So, I mean, what is your reaction to hearing that, so far it's been mainly just a 50-50 between the two?
I'm not super shocked, to be honest with you. I feel like that's something that we kind of said is like, it's probably going to be fairly even. I mean, honestly, like I know a lot of people said AD Mitchell's going to take it right away, but no, I didn't think Alec Pierce was just going to go away, and we felt that. We felt like, Alec has definitely use in this offense. Obviously, we know what he does, especially down the field and in the run blocking department. So he's definitely got an element that is unique to him and unique to this wide receiver room. So I'm not shocked. And, Derek, I'm very wary when you say who's going to win that number 2 wide receiver outside, spot there, or depending how you look at it, wide receiver 3. Because I'm like, regardless of who technically wins it, like both these players are going to be on the field. Like there's going to be certain packages where both these guys are on the field doing certain things. There's going to be certain times where, AD Mitchell's on the field and Alec Pierce isn't. And there's going to be certain times when Alec Pierce is on the field and AD Mitchell isn't. That's just kind of a part of it. Now, obviously, we know, Derek, and we would probably say this, I think you would agree with me here. I mean, AD Mitchell, his ceiling is so much higher than Alec Pierce's at this point. I mean, because he's a rookie and he's already doing the things he's doing. And, in any other draft, I think you would take him, from when he was coming out of college in, this last year versus when Alec Pierce was coming out of college. As rookies, you would have taken AD Mitchell. Like, there's no question. But I think when it comes to that, I'm not super shocked that they are getting the 50-50 run, even though AD Mitchell might have the higher ceiling because, Alec Pierce has some things that AD Mitchell doesn't necessarily do right now. And likewise with AD Mitchell, right? So I think there's a way where you can use both these players in your offense to your advantage, right? It's not like a lot of positions. Like it's not like an offensive line battle, right? Where you have the left tackle that's the starter and then you have the backup that's barely going to play. Like it's different here when it comes to these wide receivers. So I'm totally good, man, because, Alec Pierce has talked about it. I'm sure Shane Steichen and a lot of guys have talked about it. Just the idea of iron sharpens iron. I know Alec Pierce had that quote about the high tides raise all ships. And I think that's what's happening, And so regardless of who is that position winner, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see, at least starting off this season, if it is kind of like that, where the snaps are fairly even between these two guys, unless, of course, AD Mitchell comes out in his rookie year and looks like a top 10 receiver, then okay, we're having another conversation there. And even then, I don't think Alec Pierce is completely phased out of the offense at all. I think he still has a big role in this team, and who knows how much better he's gotten this year at some of those issues he had last year in the quest to obviously become a more complete wide receiver. So, yeah, I'm not too shocked about this, Derek. I mean, this is kind of, I think, what we all were assuming was going to happen here early on in training camp and probably for the majority of training camp and the majority of this season. It was going to be pretty split between these two guys with reps for that number 2 outside wide receiver position.
Yeah, I will start off my argument by prefacing that it is the first week of camp. Like, it is way too early to be talking about like who's going to take over and stuff like that. It is way too early to be second guessing yourself. I will say that right from the jump. I will say though, it is a little bit of a shock to me. I don't necessarily know if it's because I don't think that it has anything to do with me thinking that Adonai Mitchell wouldn't be at the level that he's at, but I think it tells a great testament to Mitchell on how dedicated he is to what he's getting involved, because we've seen the clips, Cody. I mean, we've seen almost a highlight, a practice at this point of Adonai Mitchell making some incredible catch with Anthony Richardson and whoever else is throwing the footballs in practices. I mean, we even reposted that other video of him and I think it was Dallas Flowers getting in a tightly contested matchup there on the edge. So Adonai Mitchell has definitely put himself on notice. And you've already now got Reggie Wayne saying he's a dog. He's a dog. And I need those dogs out there. Like, I ain't gonna say nothing about Alec Pierce, but I ain't hear Reggie Wayne call Alec Pierce a dog. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I got love for Alec Pierce. I'm just saying, we're hearing Reggie Wayne talking about Adonai Mitchell being a certified dog out there, and there's only a few of them out there in that wide receiver group that Reggie Wayne would call that. So, I mean, I'm hearing all of this, and maybe it's my getting more excited aspect of Adonai Mitchell's game because, you know, there was the questions, right? How committed was he? Is he going to stay strict to his diet regimen to make sure that he stays healthy with his diabetes and stuff that he has to control? How committed was he to, you know, improving his craft? And from everything we have seen so far and what he's talked about, I mean, this certainly doesn't seem like a person that when we drafted him in late April, people were saying that there's potential character issues here with Adonai Mitchell. And so far, it doesn't sound like that. So everything seems kind of overblown maybe in that aspect because we haven't had pads on yet, except for today when the video that we're actually recording. And so, you know, do you think that has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, there hasn't been full pads yet? It's kind of the honeymoon phase of it so far. And, you know, Adonai Mitchell is just the product of people really wanting to just see what he has more so than what Alec Pierce has shown already.
Maybe a little bit, but I mean, Derek, let's be real, like for a second, like if it wasn't for those character concerns, and obviously Chris Ballard's gone to bat for AD Mitchell, but regardless, if teams have taken him off for whatever reason, they've took him off, which it appeared they did, but if that wasn't a thing, no doubt in my mind, AD Mitchell's a first round pick. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, this kid had everything, right? He had the production last year in college. He had the size and all that stuff. And so I'm like, man, on one hand, I get it what you're saying, but I don't feel like it's as big of a transition from, you know, what they were doing to full pads. Obviously, there is a transition, but I mean, I feel like you get a lot more of an indication from wide receiver corners on those first couple days than you do when it comes to like offensive defensive line, right? So for me, I'm like, yes, I understand that aspect of it, but also, Derek, I mean, have you seen some of the highlight plays that AD Mitchell has already made in camp? And we're only 4 days into camp by the time we record this. I mean, it'll probably be some more by the time this video comes out, whether it's whenever it is, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But like this kid's making plays already. I mean, he has that potential, Derek, to make you go, wow. Like that wow factor that, frankly, I don't think you had in your wide receiver room last year. You had some good players, but you don't have that guy that goes and makes that spectacular catch like AD Mitchell already has. And he has that potential to do that kind of stuff, like that superstar potential, like the big play, highlight reel type of thing. Like that's what AD Mitchell has, and he's already putting it on display. And so, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like people wanting, you know, because obviously AD Mitchell's the new, you know, the new guy in town and the exciting prospect and stuff like that. Yeah. I think truly this kid has some special ability about him. And I think there's reason to be excited about it because he's already flashing in camp, Derek, already making some highlight plays. So I am not backing down from the A.D. Mitchell hype train at this point. I think this kid is legit, and I think he's going to show out immediately. I think if there's any impact guy, I think A.D. Mitchell, even though Latu I think is going to have a big impact, A.D. Mitchell might be the number one for me because I truly believe this kid has special ability and unique ability. And I'm just excited to see him actually in a game setting just put it fully on display because we've already seen it and heard about it and seen some of the highlights already. So I am so excited to see what A.D. Mitchell has his rookie season because this doesn't strike me as a kid that needs time to sit and learn. Like he's a kid that can go out there like Josh Downs did last year and perform right away. Like I truly believe he's a plug and play type of guy. If he's out there, he's going to make plays. Now, of course, he's going to have to grow as a receiver like every rookie does. But I think he's definitely further along than certainly Alec Pierce was his rookie season. Oh, yeah. And, I think he's going to have a tremendous opportunity from day one to make some crazy plays for the Colts and truly be that guy that truly strikes fear into the heart of defenses. Like the Colts have some guys that can do some things. Don't get me wrong, right? You have to account for Michael Pittman, obviously. He has some really good things. We know it. He's a dog for sure. And you have obviously Alec Pierce down the field. You got to be wary of that. And obviously you have Josh Downs in the slot. But I just think A.D. Mitchell strikes a new fear that the current wide receivers before him on the roster maybe necessarily didn't. And that's just a unique ability that only I think A.D. Mitchell has on this roster. And I don't think there's a lot of wide receivers in the NFL that necessarily have that, Derek. So that's why I think we're so excited about the potential of what A.D. Mitchell can become, even his rookie season.
I truly think if you are doing a man-on-man system against A.D. Mitchell, he's going to quickly become a lot like what Josh Downs was for you last year, where he's going to have times where there's just corners and especially number 2 or number 3 corners, if A.D. Mitchell stays alive through the season and you got a team that's down to their 3rd or 4th corners on a system, I'm telling you, I think he's going to feast on people. And that's what I'm super excited for. No doubt that across the building, everyone loves what A.D. Mitchell has done. Obviously, us fans are super excited. But like you said, that is certainly not going to get rid of Alec Pierce's playtime. Even Nate Atkins at practice, when we're talking about it, said that the Colts are intentionally rotating Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell at the X receiver spot with the first team. And he said the goal is to create some competition, but also to build out different roles for 2 players they'll use a lot. So, like you said earlier in the video, we know that their roles are going to be a lot different from one another. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in certain packages, in certain weeks, some guy might get more snaps than the other just because you're favored to run the football a lot more, or you're favored to want to use a more open passing attack, which is probably more of a favor of Adonai Mitchell. But I mean, let's just end the video with this. Based off of just this first week, just off the first week, do you think that you're more convinced now that Adonai Mitchell could see a lot more snaps early in the year than what maybe you originally thought? Or is he still right at about what you thought he would be?
I mean, like you, maybe just a slight bit more, like a little bit surprised they're at 50-50 already, because I maybe expected it to be more heavily Alec Pierce early on, right? I expected maybe like 60-40 or somewhere in that range. Like I didn't think it was going to be a giant necessarily like deficit between the two, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm very confident after seeing what A.D. Mitchell, because you never really know coming out of college, like what these kids are going to be right away. Some guys take longer to develop. Some guys, they hit the ground running and they are good to go and they are instant. Like they are going to be a consistently good player. So from what we've seen already in A.D. Mitchell, and again, like you said, we're only a week into training camp, but if he keeps this up, I think he has a real opportunity, Derek, to have a big role in this offense right away. So I would say maybe a little bit more snaps than I thought early on. But I mean, if this kid keeps flashing his potential, it's going to be fun this year. It's going to be really exciting.
Absolutely, man. Well, that's it for this video, guys. That's us breaking down Adonai Mitchell and Alec Pierce, who is winning that wide receiver 2 spot right now. Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. How has Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell looked for you guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.